Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and on this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. We have a question here from, I'm not going to read the full name, but Norma Denise. And Norma Denise says, I had an interview with a company, and we discussed my desired salary. In fact, I told them that it was my current salary, and I could not make less than that. We ended it off at that, and soon I got a call that I was hired. I put in my 2 weeks. I had an exit interview with my current employer at the time. The company that hired me never sent me an offer letter. I started to panic a little. 3 days before my start date, they told me that they weren't going to be able to pay me what I had asked for in terms of salary. I'm devastated because not only am I making less, but I am also not getting a full 40 hours per week now. And then there's many crying emojis. This new place has put me in a financial emergency. I'm using my savings to pay for food and rent. I had to take the job because I can't be without work. I don't know what to do. My salary was how I stayed independent and able to care for my son and I. This does not look good when I'm looking for a new job, and I've only been employed with this new place for less than 6 weeks. Okay, so first, that sucks. I'm so sorry. Yeah, that just sucks. So let's take it from the top. So you accepted a job without a stated salary because you assumed that they heard you when you said, hey, I can't take the job for less than this. Unfortunately, often judges, arbitrators, juries might not view that as a binding promise because of the way that went down, right? They never actually, it sounds like they never explicitly said, yeah, we're going to give you the salary you asked for, right? Even an offer letter is not necessarily going to be construed as a contract in many situations. It can be in certain situations and in certain jurisdictions, but often it won't be. But here, you didn't have an offer letter, and it sounds like you didn't have like a wage notice like you would get in New York, where New York, when you start a new job, you have to get a Wage Theft Prevention Act notice, which lays out your compensation for you. And anytime there's a change in your compensation, you have to receive a similar notice, right? It's required by law, and if there's a failure to provide it, it's a breach on the employer's part. Now, I don't know where you were working or what the laws are there, and I can't speak to the local laws of your jurisdiction, but I can tell you in New York, sometimes where a company does this, the old salary switcheroo, as we call it, and this is fairly common, we can look at detrimental reliance claims, saying, hey, maybe that wasn't a contract, but you did make a promise. You represented I was going to get this salary, and you caused me to rely upon you and upon that representation, and so I left my other job. So now I have a claim against you for detrimental reliance. Those claims aren't super strong, but they are a source of leverage for people in your position. And it's something you could speak with local counsel about, right? Like, I don't want to leave you without hope here. So that's something you could speak to local counsel about and see if it might be viable. My concern is that there was, as you put it here, maybe not an actual promise of a given salary, right? The way you describe it, it sounds like you may have assumed that because they were offering you the job and because you said, hey, I can't take the job for less than this salary that I'm stating, that they were going to give it to you at that salary, right? An assumption might not be sufficient as the basis for a detrimental reliance claim, right? You might, instead of an assumption, you might need an explicit promise, but check with local counsel. That's something you can definitely look into. That's not a lot of hope, I know. But I did want to answer this question because I think there's something we can talk about on the back end here. One, always, and this is not an admonishment at all in any way. Like, we all do this stuff, right? But always get the offer in writing firm before you make a jump for a lateral move like this, right? Employers will abuse employees at every turn. They do. We know this. We've all worked for people. We know how that goes, right? So get it in writing. Get it in writing before you make the jump, because you had a good situation and you jumped to a bad situation, and that's not your fault. They didn't live up to their promises, and you trusted them, and it's good to be able to trust people, but employers are, only technically people. I kid. But no, your employer's clearly a bit of a jerk here, right? or even just incompetent, right? Maybe whoever you said that to wasn't the decider of what you get paid, and they were told they probably ran it up the chain and said, hey, this is the salary for this person. If you want this person, you got to pay this person the salary. And somebody said, sure, hire that person. And then once you took the job, they're like, yeah, but set the pay lower, right? It might not even be the fault of anyone that you actually spoke to. In all reality, that's part of the problem with employers. There's a lot of distributed blame, right? You don't know who you're dealing with. You don't know who the decision maker is often, and that decision maker doesn't have an interpersonal relationship with you. They haven't necessarily even interacted with you, so they often feel very comfortable making harsh decisions that harm you, which sucks, right? Now, on the back end of your question, you said, and I quote, "This doesn't look good when I'm looking for a new job and I've only been employed with this new place for less than 6 weeks." Here's what I'd recommend. It sounds like you're pretty good at your job. It sounds like you're a good employee. It sounds like you're very conscientious. You're obviously very smart, intelligent. I'm sure you have connections at the old job. I'm not telling you to go back. I don't know if you can go back or not, but I'm sure you have connections at the old job, people you trust who can give you a good reference. When you're looking for jobs, you may want to continue using the references from the old job because you're right. It's not ideal. And listen, it's not the end of the world to be at a new place for 6 weeks and be like, yeah, listen, it's not really going that great. Salary's not what I was promised. You can just be upfront about that. I don't think that hurts you at all when you're interviewing. But that being said, if you do want to minimize the 6 week issue, just use your references from the old employer, right? People you trust, managers, supervisors, whoever it is that you have confidence in, that they'll give you a good reference, they'll do right by you, and just when you're applying, state that as your last place of employment. Don't get into the specifics of where you are now, and provide those references from the prior employer as your references going forward. I don't think that will be a cause of significant issue for you in your job search. I think that would be a very smooth way to kind of gloss over this negative experience. I'm so sorry that you're going into your savings. I'm so sorry that this is happening to you and your son. But I just wanted, I think that's the move that I'd recommend. Use the references from the old job. You don't have to lie. I mean, listen, if somebody pushes you on it, you can just be like, listen, I did start at a new place. The salary's not what I was promised. So I'm looking, right? But I don't think most jobs are even going to push. I think most jobs are going to say, hey, you got good references from your employer. Like, let's do something here, right? I think that's very realistic. Anyways, Norma, I wish you the best of luck. If this was helpful, like, subscribe, comment down below, share the channel so it can grow. And, live stream tomorrow, Friday, May the 31st. Does May have 31 days? Is that a thing? I should know this. May has 31 days, yeah. So probably about 5 p.m. Eastern time on May the 31st, we're doing a live stream. And I will put up a notice for that live stream right now, everybody. See you tomorrow. All right. Good luck to you, Norma. Take care.